The devil is trying to make sure that we don't run this episode. Devil, sorry, you messed with the wrong people. We're going to talk about it, and God's people are going to work together in unity to fight this thing, right? Whether you like it or not.
Yes.
Let me hear an amen from you, Pastor Pat and Shan. Okay, so it's great to be back. I really hope that we're live on Facebook. I'm just going to wait for people to come on and say yes, they can see us and we're live on Facebook. Are we on Facebook? Are we live? If you can see us, please send a message, say yes, we're live. Here's the thing, we're trying out this new, well, it's not new, I'm sure some people know it already, but we're using it, Be Live, and we're hoping that we're streaming live to you on Facebook, wherever you're at. So if you can see us, please indicate. Say, yes, I can see you. Hi, if you can hear us. Oh, yes, we're back. Yay, great, you're back. Very good. Thank you, Debola. Now we know we're back. Yes, so if we get back, and I'm hoping that Pastors Popola can join us as well, because we're waiting for them to reconnect. All right, so we were talking before we went on this break, the technical break, we were talking about what Christians, if I remember correctly, the challenge that we have currently, people saying on social media that pastors are gathering, or that religious leaders are gathering their congregants because they want them to pay their tithes and their offerings, and that's what's important to the religious leaders at this point in time. What's your take on that, Pastors Pat and Shan?
Well, I was just saying, I just think that's heartbreaking, and I sincerely hope that's not the case. But I think this situation is so, it's a new thing for everybody, and I think that people are very reactive. And I think in a situation like this, some people are going to be angry, some people are going to be, so there's going to be a lot of mudslinging around. And I would sincerely hope that pastors are not, running church for that purpose. I mean, who really would jeopardize people's safety and the community safety? And I mean, at the end of the day, they're jeopardizing the safety of their own loved ones as well. I mean, so I would sincerely hope that that's not the case. But I understand it's important even in these times. I mean, we had that dilemma. People do want to meet together, especially, as a church family, we're family. And, but we've even had situations in our own family, like where, I hadn't seen my brother for a few weeks and I had to park in his drive and he sat in the garden and I kept the windows of the car up and we spoke through like a little gap in the windows. I want to be with my family. So I understand people want to be with their church family, but it still isn't worth the risk. But I would be heartbroken. I mean, I would be absolutely heartbroken to think that would be the motivation behind people coming together and meeting together, or pastors encouraging people to meet together and come together.
Well, I think, Yemi, to be honest with you, it just shows you, if you're not obeying the government, right, and you're having your services, it gives people a chance to criticize or judge exactly why you're bringing people together.
Motivation.
You question why we're doing that. So again, we're trying to stress the point is, let's obey our government. As Jesus said, give to Caesar what's unto Caesar. So in other words, obey your government, obey the policies, obey the restrictions, obey everything they're saying. So it's not a time where the church, again, is marred or criticized or, fabricated for what they're doing. And I hope to God that they're not doing it for the tithes and offerings, because for me, that would be a very sad day, especially at a time like this. And the difficulty that we're all facing together, Christian and non-Christian. It's time for us as Christians to really show who we are at this time and encourage and to be a blessing. And that people will walk away saying, isn't that church a great church? Isn't that pastor a good pastor? Rather than having all this stuff now around social media about tithes and offering, again, about money. And I think it's very sad. I really do think it's very sad. So I'd encourage anyone that's doing that, please stop it and obey the government's rules at this point. You know what I mean?
People have talked about being able to pay tithes and offering online. I mean, if that's the motivation for some of the religious leaders, then obviously you can pay your tithes and offering online. Would you have a system in your church where people pay tithes and offering online?
Yes, we do. I mean, we have PayPal, because we run a charity as well that reaches out on a mission basis. So we have PayPal service, and we do have certain people that like to pay in through their bank accounts online, and that's all. In this day and age, you know, that's not the issue and it's not the problem, is it? I mean, you can do it that way.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I understand. I mean, and everybody has different feelings on this, but I mean, I would be like that. I like to keep everything up to speed and up to date. And I suppose people want to keep normality going, but with the systems that we have now, look at this. I mean, look at what we can do.
Yeah.
There's so much we can do. It's not necessary to risk people's safety over things like that. And, you know, and at the end of the day, we trust God and we honor God, and we're here to serve God. And personally, you know, I know that God's heart at the moment is for people, and you know, for the groaning of the earth that we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah. And just before I go on to Pastor the Pastor Spopola, when was the last time you had a church service, a physical church service in your church building?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
2 weeks ago. Yeah, we just felt as soon as the social distancing was brought in, it was important. You know, we have a lot of frontline medical staff in our church that we're constantly praying for. We have a prayer watch for them all at the moment, and they've obviously been advising us, and we're listening to what they've been telling us for the last few weeks. And you know, one thing I want to say, Yemi, is it's one thing to come up against a Goliath, okay? I know there's a lot of Christians saying things like, oh, we trust God, we don't have to worry about our health and safety and all this kind of thing. And I just don't believe that there is any grounds for that. When David faced Goliath, he went under the anointing of God, but he still took a weapon. He took a weapon with him. And God has given us a weapon against this virus. And our government have informed us of the weapon against this virus. And we would be idiots to go on a battlefield without a weapon. David didn't go down there, like, you know, and say, I don't even need a weapon because I have God. He went down in front of Goliath, took his weapon and said, God, anoint this weapon. And we're asking God to anoint the weapon he's given us of isolation. Anoint it, use it, and don't just use it against this disease. Use it against the enemy. Use the weapon that you're giving us of isolation. Time to spend. I'm hearing testimonies from people who are reading their Bible more, spending more time with God, and connecting more with their families and their children. And that, you know, God can use this weapon against our enemy. And you know, one of the things the enemy has taken down our society is the family unit. We are all locked in. We can't get away from each other now. And let's use it as a weapon.
There's nowhere to hide now.
Yeah, and David took that weapon. He took a weapon down. He went and he slayed Goliath with that weapon. Yes, under the anointing of God, but holding a weapon in his hand. And I am really endorsing what the government is doing. I'm supporting our government. I might not agree with everything they do. I might not like everything I do. But, you know, at the end of the day, they've put these things in place. And I'm going to use that as a weapon. And I'm not just going to take it like a weapon. I'm going to ask God to anoint that weapon, make it a God-anointed weapon, not just against this virus, but against the enemy, and take him down, behead him once and for all. And I really believe God can use this. He really can. And we haven't had a service for about 2 weeks, but I'm hearing great reports of what God is doing in people. And it is hard.
Hallelujah.
God is doing good things in our homes and in our families and in our lives and in our churches. We've got our prayer group running. We've got it constantly all day where, you know, I have people approaching us, sending me messages from our live streams, asking us to pray for people that don't even attend church. I have names of people that we are naming that are on the medical front. We're naming them and praying for nurses that I've never met before. Amazing. I think this is a God-anointed weapon that we can use against our enemy.
Well, Yemi, the church is not about a building. Ultimately, it's about people. So the early church, you know, the early church didn't have buildings, but they gathered together in small groups, really, and that's how the church grew. So I think it's probably God's timing for the church to grow worldwide, but he's going to use it in a way that the enemy meant to destroy it. You know that verse, that which was
what
meant
the enemy
for
meant for.
You know, so I think it's a time, rather than shrinking, it's time to rise.
Amen. Yeah.
And thank God we have internet, with Twitter, Facebook, we've all this stuff that we can use. And I think one church I know had more people view their service last Sunday than has ever attended a church. So
there we go.
I think it's
we go.
God has taken that and he's using it for his glory again. So we are rejoicing. You know, we should rejoice in what God is doing.
Amen.
As something that's trying to hold us, see it as something that's actually liberating us. That's the right thing.
Amen. I completely agree. I totally agree with you. I believe that God knew that a time like this was coming. This is my belief, that a time like this was coming, and he had allowed for weapons like technology to be in place ahead of a time like this. And now we can use this so well. And yet we're not awakening as children of God to these weapons that are available, these instruments of togetherness that has been created, howbeit perhaps by unbelievers, but they've been made available for us as children of God to gather at a time like this. A few days ago, there was a party on social media. I just can't get over it. This guy's DJ Nice. I've never met him before. I just saw that people were sharing on Instagram about his party, and in seconds, the likes of Ellen DeGeneres, the Vice President of America, Oprah, they all joined in this party on live on Instagram, and all he was doing was playing music. And in about an hour or so, he had 120,000 people.
Wow.
120. He started with 20,000, and in about an hour, he had about 120,000 people streaming with him, and they were all still inviting people to jump into this party. And I've been questioning why we cannot, as Christians, do the same thing. Have a one fantastic, powerful, strong, united global service where everybody connects. Perhaps each day, even every evening, one church starts it and it connects, but we all get together. And in unity, we fight this thing in prayer rather than praying in little clusters, united we stand, and this is the power of technology.
Definitely.
It's a great idea.
Definitely.
I saw on Facebook, Yemi, that really affected me. He's one of the doctors in Italy, and he said that he was an atheist at most of his life. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, the only thing I can do now is ask God to do something. And so for me, that's a picture of what God is doing in the earth, that those who have never known him now are calling on him. And probably at this time, Yemi, there's probably more prayer coming from the earth than has for the last 100 years. So God is doing something tremendous. I think what you're just presenting is a great idea. If all the churches could come together around the globe and do something prayerfully, it could be the most powerful time the world has ever known since the beginning of time.
Absolutely. I think if we started praying, together.
And I think we're being presented as a church, an international church, with a tremendous opportunity, because people are full of opinions. Everybody has opinions on things, but I think we are being given a tremendous opportunity now to really speak and say who we are. Like you say, social media, the people listening in that I would never listen to, the likes of me and Pat maybe, but we now have an opportunity to truly represent God and represent what we do stand for. Instead of people just having us in a box of what we are and who we are. It's good for people to finally take the skin off the onion and start to see who we are. And I think the church is really, really being presented probably our greatest challenge. We have our opportunity now to really speak into the situation, not by preaching at people, not by trying to shove things down people's throat, but by being real and being who we really are and letting the world see who we are and being honest and being open and letting people just understand where God is in all of this, because God is with us in this. We are not abandoned. We are not forsaken. God is with us. And yet I am the same as my neighbors. I'm in the same position. We are quarantined. We're stuck here. We're all isolated. But the difference is I am in here with God. I'm hid in this cave with God. And it's time for the world to see, what difference does that make? What does it make? We have this opportunity.
Amen. Before I let you go quickly, your daughter is coming home. She's been stranded in the States now, and you've been trying to in New York. Yeah. Yes.
No, she's
been trying to get her home a couple of days now. In California. And finally you were able to get a flight for her. Tell us about that.
Oh, God has been so faithful to us. Rianne is out in California. She was serving on an internship in the healing rooms. And we just realized the time was getting short and it was time to bring her home. But long story short, Aer Lingus stopped all their flights. She had to fly back from Los Angeles airport. But, just the other night, I don't even know what evening it was, we just knew it was time. I went online, and you wouldn't believe, Yemi, God is so good. I went online and I don't even know how I found it. I just found a flight with British Airways to bring her back via Heathrow. There's an older lady there with her who needed to get to Glasgow. I managed to get them both flights so they could fly from LA to Heathrow together. They were going to fly in and out of the same terminal in Heathrow, which is a miracle. So they wouldn't have to cross terminals because Rianne is only 16. Also, there was only 10 minutes between their flights, which meant that this lady, Charlene, could help Rianne to get to her gate, because I was concerned about the whole Heathrow situation and all the quarantine, you know, all the social distancing and everything.
Yeah.
God gave us the flight. We got her on the flight. And I just got word, you know, God has been so good. I'm a bit emotional.
Amen.
Even this evening, Charlene's flight was supposed to be 10 minutes after Rianne's, and I was going, well, at least you can get her to her gate and leave her. Charlene texted me an hour and a half ago and said her flight was delayed till 8:10, so she could so she could sit with Rianne and look after her all the way up boarded her plane. So Rianne at this moment is landing in about 10 minutes into Dublin, and I'm going to zip off and get her. But it's been challenging and it's scary because, you know, 16. I know a lot of the teenagers are struggling with this social distancing. They just don't really get it. They're struggling with it. So I was concerned about her traveling, and you know, we've had a prayer chain going, and we're just constantly lashing prayer onto her and covering her as she's been traveling. And we're going to bring her home now, and we're going to quarantine her. She will be up in her room. There will be 2 meters between all of us in this house with Rianne for the next 2 weeks. Because we just know that's really important to do. And we're just blessed that we have that insight, that the government is giving us this insight. Yeah. So we will be, she won't be eating with us, unfortunately. I am longing for a family dinner with my family around the table again. And those days are coming, Yemi. That's the important. Yeah. That day is coming. We will be sitting at our tables again with our grandparents and our children again, just like it was. How blessed have we been all these years, and what have we taken for granted? But for now, we do what's right, and Rianne will be up in her room. I have it all ready for her. I have her bed ready, but she won't be hanging out with us. I'm going
to get a little cheeky and ask you this question. So you mean you're not going to give her a big hug and then sit with her and cover her with the blood and say you're going to be fine?
I'm dying to hug her. But you know what? We just really feel, you know, she's been through all these airports, and we have other children and we have other people around us that we have to be cautious of. So you know what? Listen, I can hug her just by looking at her. She's going to see it all over my face. How happy I am to see her. She's going to read it, and she's going to. You know what? It shows you there's lots of ways to show your love. I've been up doing her bedroom and getting it all ready for her, and I'm going to have her dinner ready and all those things. And the minute she's out of that 14-day quarantine, she's going to get the biggest squeeze off us.
Yes,
the biggest picture. So,
Thank you so much. I'll let you go off and get her now. Pastor Pat, will you still stay with us? And I'm going to go to, I'm going to go to, God bless you. I'm going to go to Pastor Spokola. Thank you so much for hanging in there. It's great to have you back. You've been hearing all the chats, the chit chats about the tithes and the offering and how churches, some people feel, especially on social media, all the comments that have been flying around, but people saying that churches have just been church leaders, as it were, have just been very selfish and organizing services because they want the church members to pay tithes. I would really love to hear your angle on that as well. We have a number of questions coming through. People are making comments as well. We will get to that in a few minutes, but I will come to you with the same question.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Yemi. While I agree that church needs funds to run, at the same time, there are other means of getting in money without holding a brick and mortar services in the church building. So that shouldn't be an issue. They can get money, people can pay online, people can pay through the bank account. There are so many payment gateways and platforms by which people can pay. So that shouldn't be an issue. There was an article I wrote in response to one of these assertions. And I said, wait a minute. If a pastor is only opening up because of tithe and offering, at the end of the day, if the members contracted COVID-19, will he go to the hospital and ask them for money or for tithes and offering?
True.
So
True.
I mean that shouldn't be it shouldn't be a case. So with that, I don't totally agree with that. And I don't think any man genuinely called by God will do that.
No, we are not talking
Wow.
of violence now.
Wow. So I'll take it up from what the last sentence you just gave there, that you don't think that any man genuinely called by God will do that. Will that then kind of infer that anybody who calls such a service at this time is his call is perhaps questionable?
No, that is not what I am saying, right?
Okay.
In Ireland where we live, there is no total ban on church services. There is only a guideline of 100 meters, 100 people indoor and 500, maximum of 500 people outdoor.
But you do know that that has been reduced now, actually.
Yeah,
that is
today.
As of today, yes.
Yeah.
But as at last week, as at yesterday, it was still 100, maximum of 100 within and maximum of 500 outside gathering, right? So people, pastors that can ensure, number one, there wouldn't be more than 100 within the church building. Number two, they will be able to maintain the social distance of 2 meters. Number three,
it's because of the
which
space
is
that
hard.
they have. Yeah.
Yeah, which is hard, but it is not impossible.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
Number three, facilities like hand sanitizers, gloves are provided for people. Why not? Why not? Why can't they go ahead and conduct the service if they can obey all these guidelines? But if they cannot, then there is no any point in conducting services. And that is where I stand. They are still obeying the rule of government. If government says no services and anyone conducts services, then that is another thing entirely contravening the government's rule, right? But
okay,
if they can't.
Okay, sir, here is my concern, right, with churches still going ahead with services, regardless of the fact that up until yesterday, regardless of the fact that people could gather if they were under 100 and if they were under 500 in the public, and if they were under 100 in an indoor gathering. We forget the fact that when people come into a building, right, they're most likely to be touching themselves, even though they're social distancing, not themselves actually, but touching surfaces, right? And we've heard that this virus can be carried in clothing, right? And it stays alive in clothing for a couple of hours. So that's why most people, when they get back home, the first thing they do is they strip themselves, they jump in the shower, they make sure that they wash well with soap, and then they throw the clothing that they want to go out straight in the washing machine to kill the virus. So if we are having services in churches and people, we don't know where they're coming from. This thing is, it sounds like people are saying it could be airborne as well, because we don't know what air we've walked through and we've carried it in our clothing, right? So if the clothing touch a surface in church, I don't know that. And yes, I'm walking by and I touch that surface. So isn't the best thing to do just to stay safe anyway? What's the purpose of the gathering? It's to worship and to pray. So can we not worship and pray together online? We have these services available to us now.
Yeah, from the angle of if people could contact it by in the church or through any surface, right? That is a possibility. And that is the more reason why everybody is educated on when you get home, what are the things you need to do. We still go to stores, we still go to parks to buy, so we can still get in contact. People, you don't know how many people have touched your car. You get into your car, you open it, and so it has nothing to do with whether you are in the church or you are not in the church. When you get home, wherever you are coming from, there are things that are standard operating procedure that you should do before you get inside your home. So if for the church, I don't subscribe to that. Anybody can contact it anywhere. So still coming to church, it's still not an issue as long as you can stay within the confinement and the ambit of government's regulation, and people are also safe. Having said that, there is also a great concern, or maybe I should put it this way. The Bible says, do not forget or do not forsake the gathering of your people, right? Yeah, there is still an anointing that it is said to be corporate anointing, when people could come together to pray, you understand, in a place where they will see each other. Yeah, and maintain all that needed to be maintained. Granted, technology is there, it can be used, it can be deployed, right? So I don't see the reason why people are just talking about churches and churches and churches, tithes and tithes and offering. People were still holding party. I mean, on Saturday in Longford, Gadi went to disperse people that are holding house parties.
Why don't they talk about that?
Are we comparing house parties with church now?
No. If people could gather for things that is ephemeral, or for the things that are ephemeral and eternal, and people are talking about that, and the things people are also gathering for the worldly things, and they kept mute. Don't you see double standard in the whole thing? People that gathered in the church, they're not gathering for social activities. They actually gathered, they offer themselves as a frontliner to go there and pray for this, for the healing of the land. They're not going there to play. It is not because they don't have anything to do. They are also putting their lives on the line to go out there in order to ensure that the land is cleansed, right? So,
okay, so can I ask, sir, maybe I'll come to Mommy P now, and we've got Pastor Gloria Ovie joining us from Galway. I'm going to come to you in a few minutes. Can I ask, taking on board what you've said, Pastor K, about Christians being able to gather and it shouldn't be a problem so long as they keep within the confines of the law and what they're required to do, which obviously a number of people have not been able to keep to that guideline. Hence the reason why people are jumping onto comments on social media. When countries become completely locked down and people are told, like Italy, and people are told you cannot move. So what are Christians going to do? Because right now it seems that the argument is that Christians can still need to gather in the physical. What are Christians going to do when there's a complete lockdown and you're not allowed out of your house? Is that the time we're now going to look at alternatives?
Okay, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, well, I don't mind me answering that question. No, my husband said it that, okay, sometimes there is a gathering that we need to connect together physically. And that's why we're talking about the house fellowship, members of the same house coming together at the same time. Do we understand? Physically, members of the same house. In the instance of Italy completely locked down, yes, we cannot come together into a church building. But the instance that people were not talking, we still have the rules and regulation of 100 and 500. So they shouldn't just castigate on that. Now, if they reduce it to 10, 20, any church that cannot take to that should not open. We have some instances 2-3 weeks ago, some churches asked the elderly and the children not to come to church, and only the middle age were allowed to come.
So
and
where were the kids when the church service was holding? Where were the kids if the older people were in church?
No, they have people at home that will be able to mind those children. Do you understand? If you have people that could mind your children at home, then you can leave them to the minders and come. But if not, right, stay at home and mind your children. Now, coming back to the issue of if it is total lockdown, don't forget the Bible says we should obey the constituted authorities. It is there in the Bible. If government says nobody should move, then of course, we are not even talking of church facilities. At that point in time, maybe internet will go down. Maybe there won't be any need for technology to be able to be operational. Banks will be closed down. The Bank of Ireland 101 banks sites closed today. You understand? So at that point in time, it is only you and your family that will be holding your church services in your houses. So at that point in time, it is understood. But as long as there are still room for operations and for services to be conducted within the confinement of the law, and people are the first priority, not money, not anything. People are the first priority. Then, of course, why not? But now it is completely locked down, or it is reduced. UK, it is maximum of two people. Then we cannot be talking of churches. Even at that point in time, House Fellowship cannot even hold, except your member of your own household come together. Let's pray and pray together.
Okay.
So that is,
we have so many comments and questions flying through. I'm going to go to Pastor Ovie in Galway right now. I hope that she can hear me. Can you hear me, Pastor Gloria?
Hello. Hello,
Can
Sister
you hear me?
Yemi.
Good evening.
Yeah, a bit. It's the sound is not too great, but I'm just trying to listen to every conversation.
Okay, very good. We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you for
Okay.
joining us from Galway.
You're welcome.
I mean, you've heard what the conversation is. And the first thing I'm going to come to you with is one of the comments that I've seen online. It's talking about the fact that the number of gatherings has been reduced to 4. And even it's no longer social distancing. We have to maintain perhaps an even longer distance. And I would have thought that, as people say that experience is the best teacher, we would have taken a cue from Italy that didn't take it seriously quickly enough. And now they're paying the price, they're in total lockdown. And that we should have taken a cue from that and perhaps reduced our gatherings. But some are still of the opinion that it's okay once they still an allowance for people to gather within a certain number, that it's still okay for people to gather in a building, in a church building, and still have a service. What's your take on that?
I would say, as long as there's a country, there's a law, and the people in the country are expected to abide to the law of the country. Now, the law has some guidelines regarding this coronavirus issue. And the church has its place too. Now, I've heard so many conversations, and it kind of beats me to hear many conversations regarding the church. Maybe I call it attack on the church at this moment. From my own perspective, we are different in our levels of belief. From my own perspective on coronavirus, I don't just see it as a virus. It's more of God seeking our attention. And now, if you look at it, we need the Christians to pray more. The country has its rule of gathering to secure and make sure this thing is not spread. Wash your hands 2 meters apart. I will tell you something sincerely. Before I sat here, I just came from the shop. All these guidelines are put, stay apart, but you still see us moving close to each other. And I was just, you will see me at every point. I have my 2 little kids. I went to 2 different shops to get something, and I was trying by all means to clean and clean outside. I heard Pastor Popola clearly that sometimes you do all these things. Do you know who have touched your car outside? Yeah, I I was trying to clean even the handle of my car outside. Now, the only thing I just said is, God, please, we need your help at this time. No matter how we try to keep apart and all the rest, it's just that this thing is just the grace of God. And that is where the church, the people of God comes in. Now you cannot erase the church completely. If the law is saying keep 2 meters apart, do this and do that, and the church is still keeping to that, we need people to come together to pray. That is my own perspective. Coming together to pray. It's not about service right now anymore. It is the prayer of the righteous coming together, the prayer of agreement. That is my own point. Like in my church.
Okay, did we just lose Pastor Gloria there? I think she's frozen. So we're going to, so one thing that keeps resonating here is the need for us to come together, or for Christians to come together as a body, as one united body, to pray together. I'm going to take a couple of questions here, and I will come to you individually so you can answer this question. So somebody is asking that, is it possible for churches, and we had this conversation earlier on, is it possible for churches to come together and hold a prayer online? Is it possible for churches to come together and hold prayer online? I'll come to you, Pastor Pat. What's your take on that? Do you think churches can come together this time to hold prayer online? We talked about this earlier on.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for churches to come together and pray together for the situation that we're all facing, because we're all facing it together anyway. So no matter what denomination or what color, what race you are, as one person, one believer, one body, we can have a tremendous effect in this country and for other countries. We can pray for Italy, we can pray for Spain, and we can pray for our own nation. So I think it's a great opportunity that we shouldn't miss at this point, that coming together will be the best thing that we should do and can do to bring great change. That's what I believe, Yemi.
Absolutely. Pastors Pokola, what's your take on this? Do you think that we should come together as a united body, Christendom, regardless of denomination, regardless of wherever we are in the world, regardless of people who feel strongly that this is my church and I'm the one who's going to decide what happens in this church, regardless of all that religious doctrines and all that? Do you think that we should put all that aside now and try and find a unifying way to come together online and pray together?
I totally agree with you, because when God looks down from heaven, he does not see any denomination. What he sees are his children, his people. So denomination, all those ones are man-made, right? So it's possible for Christians to come together irrespective of faith, irrespective of denomination. What I mean by faith, I meant faith of I belong to Apollo, I belong to Caesar. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
So we can come together and pray and have one voice.
So perhaps then, perhaps we can start talking about, here I am, I'm talking with pastors of 3 different churches on sharing with Yemi today. Can I throw this to the 3 of you? I've got you, Pastors Popola, I've got Pastor Pat, and Pastor Shan. Pastor Shan has had to dash to get Rianne. I've got Pastor Gloria Ovie from Galway, and herself and her husband also run a church there. And there's several other people who are religious leaders who are watching us right now. Can we have an agreement that perhaps sometime this week, maybe even this weekend, we start this conversation that we're talking about and actually make it practical? I don't mind to be the platform on which this happens, where we all gather and we say, okay, for the next number of hours, we're going to pray together, and people start jumping on board. I still cannot get out of my system this party that happened on Instagram, and everybody started jumping, and people were sharing. People were actually sharing and jumping on board. So much so that I had over 120,000 people just listening to music and watching this guy play music, you know, for hours, about 9 hours. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. Is it possible then that we can say, here, the three of youth, as we say in Ireland, religious leaders, can agree that we can start this thing together and actually then get people on board and see where it goes? Is that something that you would consider? Pastor Spokwala, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it is something to consider. In fact, right now, there are many prayer platforms that are going on, irrespective of denominations that are going on. There are people that are some that are 24 hours going on. There are some that it's only specific time within a particular day or hour of the day that is going on. So it will just be an addition to what is going
Fantastic.
on. No problem.
Fantastic. Can I ask then that all the other ones that you're talking about, if you would kindly share the link so people, for example, the ones that are 24 hours already, those ones are already in existence, and some people don't even know. And this is the issue. That's the thing, that people don't know some of these things that are ongoing. If we could share, if you don't mind sharing the link when we're finished, just type the link on the thread so people can see that and they can connect to that. If there's something you're doing in your church as well, if you put the link here on the thread, people can see it and they can connect to it, whether it's a time or a specific day or specific time, people can connect to that.
That will be done.
Absolutely. I'll go to Pastor Fitzgerald now. And will it be something for you if you have to connect to other global leaders who are religious leaders to do prayer for a certain number of hours, and people just get on board and worship and pray and praise?
I think it's a great initiative, Yemi. I've been talking to a few global leaders at present, and we're looking at starting that initiative anyway. So I think it'd be a great initiative to kick off. I think because of what's happening to UK now and right around the world, there's a lockdown. I think it's probably time now to set that initiative in motion, where around the globe, we're starting a prayer chain right around the globe, which will have a massive effect around the globe. I think it's a great initiative, great idea. I'm glad you're the one that's going to be the one that takes the initiative forward.
Praise God. And I really, really pray that when we come together as Christians, when Christians come together, that it will be the time for us to strip ourselves of all the religiosity that we carry around, because we play church. We've played church for too long. And I think it's time that we began to work towards unity, that we see ourselves as one. It's not about one person's church. It's about the total package of what a real Christian, a child of God should be, what they should act like, who they should look like, what people should see when they see them. I'm going to quickly run through some of the comments that people have been throwing in here. Thank you so much. Alaja Yomi, thank you for joining us. You wrote here that it's true. Your auntie confirmed. She said, my auntie confirmed to me that they were even asked, the church members were asked to pay to account from home. This is very ridiculous. Nothing even considered for the fact that people can't work. Well, if they've been paying their tithes previously, I don't think that should have been a problem. If there's always been that arrangement in place for people to be able to pay conveniently, perhaps even online and do a direct debit, it shouldn't have been a problem. But maybe it's time now that we started to look at doing things differently. Somebody here, Debola says, I love the David and Goliath angle used. That was the example that Shannon used earlier on. Joanna said, sure, we had our church service on Zoom last Sunday. Fair play. Fair play to technology to bring us together and worship. Love the global union prayer together. Very good. Somebody wrote here, faithful God. I said, that's too hard, but safety first. That it's hard to try and keep people apart, but we have to consider safety first. 2 meters apart for social distancing can the church follow this instruction? And that's the challenge, really, what we've been talking about, that a number of people have not been able to adhere to the instruction. They want to, but they've not been able to. And social distancing protocol was observed. This is somebody who said they had a service. Mojirade here said that coronavirus has been declared airborne now, and that's it. We carry it all around. Some countries have started fumigating the air all around them. From today, there shouldn't be any further gathering. And I live I live a bit far from my church. This is Mojirade saying, I live a bit far from my church. And because I work Monday to Saturday, I use Sunday as a rest day, and I don't want to travel to church on Sunday. So I have been watching service online for over a year, and it has been a wonderful experience. So people staying at home to attend service shouldn't be an issue. The Spirit of God is everywhere. Amen. Well said. Well said. Thank you, Mojirade, for that wonderful comment. And thank you all so much. BCI, know what are these? Please obey. What are people saying? Please obey the constituted authority. Thank you very much. Debola Sekina says, the law is the law, regardless. Faith is in the heart. You can pray at home. Thank you so much, Sekina. Wonderful comments from everyone here. Yemi Abayomi says, we have to get to a point in our Christian life to know that we don't need to be physically in a place to get connected in the spirit. Church should set a standard for the society. And Pat, I will just take perhaps a last comment from Pat McDermott here. A wonderful discussion. Speaking personally as a devout Christian, since birth, I believe God and Jesus they both hear my prayers, regardless of where I pray. I pray in nature. I pray in my home. I pray whilst driving. I pray with others. I pray alone. Over 60 years in God's earth, I know God has answered my prayers over and over and over again when I pray. Not where I pray, but how I pray. Of course, I know it is wonderful to have the power of prayer amplified by numbers, but buildings are not necessary, in my opinion, to open God's ears. God bless each and every one. I also would have loved to see input from other denominations, Muslim brothers and sisters. We perhaps we'll talk about that another day, Pat, which is a brilliant idea. For example, I understand as it is Christian discussion today, this may not be possible. Thank you so much, Yemi, on all of that. Thank you all so much for your wonderful, wonderful contributions today. I believe that we've had really, really impactful conversations. Thank you all so much for sharing. I want to thank you, Pastor Pat and Pastor Shan. Thank you so much for being my guest on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
God bless you. Your contribution has been very, very impactful. I really appreciate you. I want to thank Pastors Kay and Tosin Popola. Thank you so much for your wonderful contribution. Any last words for people before we wrap up today?
Yeah. I just want to say this because somebody wrote, who are these couples? We've introduced ourselves. Our names Tosi and Kayode Popola. And we believe that we are following, and it's not that we believe, we follow the consistent authority in Republic of Ireland. As at yesterday, last Sunday, 100 indoor and 500 outdoors. And if a church conducted a service within the regulations, I don't think we should start castigating the pastors, calling them names, or saying they are gathering because of tithing. This is the time we need to unite together and speak life. Let's speak positively to one another. I need you, you need me. We all need each other. And please, we are begging everyone. We are all leaders. If you are a mother, you are a leader to your children. If you are a father, you are a leader to your wife and your children. So we are all leaders. So you don't just talk against leaders. And God will help every one of us in Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen.
My last word. be prayerful, and play safe. God bless all.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank
Those are
you
very
so
powerful
much.
Thank you.
words. Be prayerful and play safe. I'm going to come back to you, Pastor Pat. Any final words for the people of God?
Well, Yemi, my final words is this: keep on praying, keep on believing. Back, it's a time to push forward and to grow in faith and believe God for supernatural miracles at this time. And please be an example to all those around you. And wherever you are, be like Jesus at this time. Be an encouragement and be a blessing to as many friends, family, strangers, whoever you come into contact. Be a blessing to them. And please pray for everyone you can possibly pray for. Thank you so much, Yemi. I've always said it. You're a blessing, my friend, and you're getting even more of a greater blessing. And I pray that this door will open many doors for you, my sister. God bless you. And
Amen. Amen.
amen.
Thank you, Pastor Pat. Thank you so much. God
No
bless you
problem.
immensely. And I really want to thank Pastor Gloria Ovier for joining us in Galway. I know that we got cut off there at some point, but it's great to see that you're still with us. Any last words for the people of God, for people out there, for believers?
Yeah, I would just love to say for us, this is the time we need to practice the word of God that we have heard of, we have known, or read on our own, or that has been spoken to us. This is the time we must exercise our faith more and not fear. And this is the time we must pray for each other more. Let's keep safe. Let everyone keep safe. God bless you all.
Amen and amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Gloria. And I really want to thank everybody who's tuned in today and been a part of sharing with Yemi today. Like I said yesterday, this is the elephant in the room. A number of people were just a bit wary to talk about it, but I'm glad that we've been able to actually address this issue today. And it's so clear that the people of God themselves, the leaders, that we know, those leaders that we've had on the show today have said that the law is the law. We have constituted authority. Walk within the confines of the law. Ensure that you obey the law. And really and truly, when you do not obey the law, you're literally, for me, I believe you're embarrassing Christendom and you're embarrassing God. And you're saying, well, I don't have to obey the law. And as children of God, that's not what we've been enjoined to do. We've been told obedience is better than sacrifice. And this is what the agreement has been today by all the leaders we've had on the show. Obey the law. Keep safe. Stay home. Ensure that you keep social distancing. We've got the health service executive in the Republic of Ireland and all the other executives that look after people in terms of their health in all the different countries. Follow the law as advised by your health services and your government. Whatever you're told to do, please, please, and please obey the law. Remember, I will go back to the example that Pastor Shan had given. Goliath, when he went to fight, when David went to fight Goliath, he had a weapon which he'd been given and he had it anointed. We have been given a weapon and it's time we began to use it appropriately. This time is the time when we can actually come together again by staying apart. A lot of us really don't, we haven't spent time with ourselves for a long time. And it's hard for us to even look ourselves in the eye. I've had couples call and say, how do I pass through this period? And really and truly, tomorrow, we're going to have a conversation about dealing with this time of isolation together as a family. A number of couples are struggling. And one particular couple said, we're suffering. I'm trying to understand what that suffering is, but we'll have a conversation around that tomorrow. But I want to say thank you so much for being a part of this. I want to say thank you to my team for putting this, ensuring that we went back live again and putting this together. And we tried out the B Live, and finally we came back on air and we got it done. Thank you so much for the patience as well. To Pastor Spokola, you were so patient. Thank you. We went off, we came back again. You were still there. Pastor Pat and Shan, you're incredible. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And Pastor Gloria Ovier for joining us from Galway. Thank you so much. We'll see you all again tomorrow. Until then, please stay safe. Pray in the confines of your home. And let's start working at praying together as a church and as a body, the body of Christ. God bless you all. And thank you. Share this when you see it and stay safe. God bless you. See you tomorrow. Bye.